Confidence that doesn't beg for approval is one of the most magnetic qualities a person can carry, and it shows up in the smallest details of how someone presents themselves. It is not loud or arrogant, and it doesn't need to be put on display because it's not about proving anything to anyone. It's the quiet strength of knowing who you are and what you bring to the table without asking for constant reassurance. People who move through life with this kind of energy seem untouchable because they are not waiting on the outside world to tell them they are enough. They already operate from that place inside themselves, and that is what pulls others toward them. When you see someone who is grounded in their own confidence, you feel it in the way they speak. They don't rush their words, they don't scramble to fill silences, they don't crumble under pressure, because their worth is not tied to how quickly someone approves or applauds them. They take their time, they choose their words, and their calm presence creates calm in others. The moment you stop chasing after approval, you immediately stand out, because most people are spending their days hoping others will like them, and when you stop playing that game, you suddenly have an authority and a peace that is impossible to fake. Older women who carry this secret understand that confidence built on self-acceptance lasts, while confidence built on applause fades. The truth is, outside validation is unstable because people's opinions change constantly. One day you're celebrated, the next day you're criticized, and if your worth is tied to that roller coaster, you'll always be chasing something that never lasts. But when your approval comes from within, when you already know you are worthy without needing to prove it, the noise around you stops controlling your energy. And that is where real confidence begins to shine. This kind of unshakable confidence is not about being perfect. It is about being steady. It is about showing up as you are without hiding behind masks or trying to play a role to impress anyone. People are drawn to that steadiness because it feels rare in a world where so many are busy pretending to be something they're not. Think about it. When someone enters a room with calm certainty in who they are, they do not need to be the loudest voice, yet somehow everyone notices them because confidence is less about volume and more about presence. The beauty of not begging for approval is that it allows you to make choices that align with who you really are, rather than choices made out of fear of rejection. When you stop needing everyone to like you, you start living with freedom. You take risks without second-guessing yourself. You set boundaries without guilt. You walk away from what doesn't serve you, and people respect that because it communicates that your worth is not negotiable. This is why older women who embody this principle often seem untouchable. They don't chase attention. It finds them. And there is another side to this kind of confidence. It is contagious when you are around someone who doesn't need approval. You feel a sense of permission to stop needing it too. You feel safer, you feel calmer, and you feel more grounded in yourself. That's because true confidence does not compete. It inspires, it gives the room to others to also be themselves. When someone is fully comfortable in their own skin, they create space for others to relax into theirs, and that is what makes them unforgettable. When you think about why this quality is so irresistible, it comes down to the fact that humans are wired to seek stability. We are drawn to people who know who they are because it feels safe, it feels trustworthy, and it feels real, unshakable. Confidence is not about arrogance, it is about authenticity. It is not loud, it is steady, it is not desperate, it is assured. And when you witness that in someone, especially someone who has lived enough life to know the value of it, you can't help but be drawn closer to that kind of presence. Authenticity is one of those qualities that doesn't need to be announced because people feel it the moment they are around you. And what makes older women so magnetic is that they have reached a point in life where they no longer waste energy trying to compete or perform for others. They understand that pretending to be something you're not is exhausting and ultimately empty. So instead, they lean into who they really are. They are not afraid of their flaws. They are not running from their past, and they are not bending themselves out of shape just to fit into someone else's version of what they should be. That kind of authenticity cuts through the noise and makes people lean in. There is something incredibly powerful about someone who doesn't need to put on a mask in order to be liked, because it's rare in a world where most people are constantly adjusting themselves for approval. And the reason authenticity is irresistible is because it communicates strength. It says, I'm comfortable enough with myself that I don't have to hide or perform. That level of honesty is magnetic because people crave realness. Deep down, everyone is tired of the fake conversations and shallow performances. So when they encounter someone who is completely themselves, it feels refreshing, it feels grounding, and it feels like a relief. Older women often embody this secret because they've already played the game of trying to be everything for everyone, and they've learned that it never truly works when you spend your life competing to be the loudest or the prettiest or the smartest. There will always be someone else who shows up and takes that spot. But when you stop competing altogether and start living authentically, you no longer measure your worth. By comparison, you find peace in being exactly who you are, and the freedom in that is what people sense in your presence. This kind of authenticity also shows up in the way they communicate when someone is real. You can tell in their tone. They don't sugarcoat to manipulate, they don't exaggerate to impress, and they don't water themselves down to keep others comfortable. They say what they mean and mean what they say, and because of that, people trust them. That trust is part of what makes them irresistible, because you know exactly where you stand with them. You don't have to decode their words or wonder if they are secretly thinking something else. Their honesty builds connection in a way that pretense never could. What makes authenticity even more attractive is that it allows others to feel safe, to drop their own masks when you see someone fully comfortable in their own skin. It gives you permission to relax in yours. That's why people are drawn to those who live authentically. They don't just stand out, they make others feel like they can stand out too. And that creates a kind of magnetic pull because everyone wants to feel seen for who they really are. And when someone leads with that energy, it feels like a rare gift. Another layer of authenticity is how it frees someone from the endless cycle of seeking approval. When you are authentic, you are not controlled by whether people clap for you or criticize you, because you are not performing for them in the first place. Your life becomes about living in alignment with your own values and principles instead of constantly trying to adjust to match someone else's expectations. That freedom radiates out of you and people notice it. They may not even be able to put their finger on it, but they feel it when they are around you and it draws them closer. The irresistible part of authenticity is that it carries a quiet confidence and a steady presence that doesn't demand attention, but always gets it anyway, because authenticity is not about standing out. It's about standing true. When someone lives that way, they naturally rise above the competition, not because they are louder, but because they are real. And in a world that is filled with pretense and comparison, the rarest and most magnetic quality will always be someone who embraces exactly who they are and lives from that place without apology. There is a certain power in understanding that not everything has to be said and not every detail of your life needs to be shared. And this is a secret many older women hold close because they've lived long enough to see that mystery often speaks louder than constant explanation. They know the value of silence and the strength in choosing when to speak and when to simply let the moment breathe. This isn't about holding back out of fear. It's about knowing that self-control and composure create respect, because mystery pulls people in while oversharing often pushes them away. When someone doesn't reveal everything right away, it creates curiosity, and curiosity is magnetic. People lean in when they don't know everything about you. Right away, they want to discover more. They want to stay around longer. They pay closer attention. because there's a depth there that isn't immediately handed over, and that is what makes the presence of someone who understands mystery so compelling. Older women often master this because they've seen how quickly trust can be broken when you give too much of yourself to the wrong people. So instead, they choose wisely, they share selectively, and that discretion makes them stand out. Silence is often underestimated, but it communicates more than most people realize. When someone can sit in silence without scrambling to fill the air, it shows strength, it shows comfort with themselves, and it shows patience. People are drawn to that energy because it's calming. Most people rush to fill space with noise because they're uncomfortable with pauses, but someone who can sit steady and let silence speak comes across as grounded and confident. That ability doesn't just make people listen more closely, it makes them respect the weight of what you do choose to say. The power of mystery also lies in the boundaries it creates. Not everyone deserves access to every part of you. And when you understand that you stop over-explaining yourself to gain acceptance, you stop handing over pieces of yourself just to feel validated. Instead, you protect your space and your story and only open up to people who have earned that place in your life. This makes your presence feel even more valuable because people know it's not freely given to everyone. That sense of scarcity makes it special, and that's what makes it irresistible. Older women who carry this secret understand that mystery doesn't mean coldness. It means selectivity. It means they know what to give and what to hold close. And that balance keeps people wanting to know more. It makes every interaction meaningful because there is a depth you can sense even if you don't fully see it. It's the difference between someone who lays everything out on the table at once versus someone who allows you to discover layers over time. The second always leaves a stronger impression because it creates a journey, and people remember how they felt during that journey. This ability to embrace silence and mystery also impacts how they handle conflict. They don't rush to defend themselves against every criticism. They don't get dragged into unnecessary arguments, and they don't waste energy on proving themselves to people who don't matter. That restraint communicates more power than any loud defense could ever give, because when you don't feel the need to explain yourself constantly, it shows you value your peace more than someone else's opinion. And that kind of strength is deeply attractive. The irresistible truth about mystery is that it's not about hiding who you are. It's about showing that you know your worth is too valuable to be poured out recklessly. It's about knowing that the less you chase to be understood, the more people want to understand you. It's about realizing that silence can be louder than words, and that holding a little back creates the space for others to step forward and meet you in the middle. And that kind of presence lingers long after the moment has passed. One of the most captivating secrets older women carry is that they know the value of quality connections over quantity. They no longer spend their time trying to collect as many friends or acquaintances as possible because experience has taught them that more is not always better. What truly matters is depth, realness, and trust. They understand that having a handful of people who truly know you, support you, and walk with you is far more fulfilling than being surrounded by crowds who only know the surface. This perspective makes them magnetic because people can sense that they give their energy intentionally, and that makes every interaction with them feel more meaningful. When someone values quality connections, it changes how they listen. They aren't just waiting for their turn to talk. They aren't distracted by trying to impress. They are fully present and paying attention. And people feel that when you're with someone who is present, you feel seen and heard in a way that is rare. Most of the world is rushing, distracted, and busy. So when you encounter someone who slows down and gives you their focus, it leaves an impression that lingers. Older women who carry this quality make people feel valued, not because they are loud about it, but because they know the power of listening and genuine connection. Another reason this is irresistible is because it communicates a sense of wisdom. People who focus on quality over quantity don't chase after every connection out of fear of being alone. They are selective and thoughtful about who they allow close, and that communicates strength. It says, I don't need everyone. I just need the right ones. And that self-assured energy is magnetic because people respect boundaries. They may not say it out loud, but when they see someone who chooses carefully instead of desperately, they sense stability and are drawn to it without even realizing why. Focusing on quality connections also means they pour into relationships that matter. Instead of scattering their energy thin across too many, they nurture trust and show up consistently. And because of that, the people close to them feel secure and valued. It's not about doing everything for everyone. It's about doing the right things for the right people. This is what makes their presence stand out because they create safe, reliable relationships that others can count on. And that level of loyalty is rare in a world where most connections are shallow or transactional. This choice also frees them from the constant need to be liked by everyone. When you understand the value of quality connections, you stop chasing approval from strangers or surface-level acquaintances. You stop overextending yourself just to keep shallow ties alive. Instead, you invest in the ones that matter and let go of the rest. And that kind of clarity creates peace. It makes life simpler, it makes decisions easier, and it makes your energy feel more grounded. People can sense when someone has that clarity, and it makes them want to be closer to them. What makes this so attractive is that it creates an aura of trustworthiness. When you know that someone values depth over numbers, you instinctively feel safer sharing yourself with them because you know they won't misuse your trust. They aren't collecting secrets to gossip about. They aren't trying to impress others with what you share. They are there to truly connect, and that builds bonds that are not easily broken. And the ability to create those kinds of relationships is rare and powerful. It makes people want to stay around and keep building with you. The secret older women keep is not that they know everyone. It's that they know the right ones, and they invest in those relationships fully and intentionally. And that kind of loyalty and depth doesn't just make them irresistible, it makes them unforgettable because people don't remember how many names you knew. They remember how deeply you connected with them and how safe and valued you made them feel in your presence. Another secret that makes older women so magnetic is the way they invest in themselves, because self-care is not just about appearance, it is about energy, presence, and the way you carry yourself. And they understand that when you pour into yourself, it shows in everything you do. When someone takes care of their body, their mind, and their spirit, it radiates outwards without them ever having to announce it. People can feel it in the way they move, the way they speak, and the way they show up in every space they enter. And that is why self-care becomes so irresistible. It communicates self-respect, and that self-respect draws others in. When you look at someone who prioritizes themselves, you notice that they don't move from a place of desperation or emptiness. They are not looking for others to complete them because they already feel whole. They treat their own well-being as a responsibility, not a luxury, and that changes how people perceive them. It's not about being perfect or flawless. It's about showing that you value yourself enough to protect your energy, to nourish your health, to guard your peace. And that choice makes people take you more seriously, because if you treat yourself with worth, others will too. This kind of investment is not just physical, though it is mental and emotional too. Older women who carry this secret know the importance of resting their mind, of setting boundaries, of letting go of stress that doesn't belong to them. They practice the art